Do I have a motion to open the April 24th, 2024 regular business meeting of the Harrison Central School District Board of Education?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Michelle, would you please do a roll call? Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Thank you, Michelle. Do I have a motion to recess into executive session? We have CSEA and administrative contractual matters to discuss.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are recessed. Do I have a motion to reopen the April 24th, 2024 regular business meeting of the Harrison Central School District Board of Education?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Michelle, would you please do a roll call? Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have 2 minutes to accept. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the April 11th and April 16th, 2024 Board of Education meetings?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
At this point in time, if any member of the public would like to address a board, you can go ahead and do so by approaching the podium. I just ask if you could please state your first and last name. And just as a reminder, because I do see we have some public here tonight, Dr. Wool will respond to all public comments at the end, and we'll give everyone an opportunity to speak.
Ghazi Azad. Good evening. My name is Dr. Ghazi Azad. I'm a professor, nationally certified school psychologist, and licensed clinical psychologist. More importantly, I have 2 young children at Harrison Avenue Elementary School and another joining in a few years. And we're here today to make a clear request to the Board of Education to recognize the Muslim holiday of Eid that many of us celebrate here today at the Harrison Central School District. And to be specific, we're requesting to have at least one of the 2 Eid holidays off. And since I'm a researcher and I like to play with data, today I'm going to give you some data. And I'm going to give you both qualitative and quantitative data so you can understand why this is a critical issue to address and why this is the right time to address it. And I'm going to embed this within a multi-tier systems of support that I know many of you are probably familiar with. So let's start at tier 1, which is a district level, right? Or the school level. So this school year, 2023-2024, there are 13 school districts that have at least one of the 2 Eid holidays off. Next year, let's fast forward, 2024-25, the number is growing, right? 19 school districts have now called Eid, one of the 2 Eids, as a designated holiday, which is almost 50% of the districts in Westchester. And so from our analysis of the census statistics, it's clear that Harrison Central School District is actually one of the most diverse school districts that's yet to call one of the Eid holidays off. In fact, in our outreach to the superintendents who have worked with their Board of Education to call this holiday off, one of a very lovely neighboring superintendents said to me, Ghazi, the decisions we made in our district are based on the changing demographic and desire to foster a welcoming and affirming environment. That's the quote he said. And don't get me wrong, this is not just a trend in Westchester. In fact, in Long Island, 67% of the districts have now designated Eid as one of the holidays off. So this request is about adaptability, adapting to the evolving community and to their needs. And adaptability is one of the core values of this district, or at least we advertise it on the website. Now let's talk about Tier 2, the classroom level, right? There are many very highly involved South Asian parents in this district, and we are a growing multi-ethnic community, and we're here to stay. You'll be hearing from one of the prominent members of our community, Dr. Zahra Ali, very soon. And so, every year we go into our kids' classrooms and we teach the students about the cultural elements of Ramadan. We talk to the students about how Ramadan is a time about charity, about giving back to the community, about collecting good deeds, and about kindness. And every year I'm very consistently surprised and so impressed by the students' questions, comments, and their thoughtful connections to their own culture. But let's not fool ourselves, because the reality is, one thing is very clear. The students at Harrison Avenue Elementary School have very little exposure to the cultures and the very fabric of their community. So recognizing Eid as a day off has the potential to build dialogue and understanding, and ultimately build intercultural understanding and respect. And I know you're familiar with that phrase, because intercultural understanding and respect is aligned with the International Baccalaureate Primary Years program that I know Dr. Wool loves to talk about. So let's talk about Tier 3, right? The individual students. So currently, many Muslim students are missing out on new material when they have to be absent for Eid. We've heard a lot from high school students who have to make really tough decisions about whether they want to go to school, miss exams, or observe this holiday. So yes, this is about students not missing school and not missing exams, but it's much more than that, right? It's about bringing awareness to this community. It's about recognition of the growing multicultural community around us. Look around, things are changing. And so to me, this is about our children, right? I want the children sitting here, I want them to see a little bit of themselves in the school calendar. I want them to realize that they belong in this community, right? I'll repeat, they belong in this community, right? And a sense of belonging, as you all know, is an integral part of our social emotional learning curriculum. Let's talk about the fat in the Harrison Central School District calendar, right? Because there is some fat in there. So, and I'll preface this by saying 19 school districts have figured this out. I'm confident that we can figure it out too. And they're still in compliance with 180 days, regents exams, unions, they're in compliance with everything, right? So we can do it too. We can redistribute superintendent days. We can redistribute snow days, right? We understand there are complexities in the calendar. I'm very familiar with that because of my professional work. But Harrison is not an exceptional case. We don't have any exceptional circumstances compared to the other districts in Westchester. This is about redistributing the days we already have off in a more equitable manner. And remember, equity is a core value in this district, right? I think it's important to acknowledge and thank the Board of Ed for moving the ELA testing from April 10th, so it was not on Eid. And we're aware that Dr. Wool is working with the Association of Superintendents and position paper, but that should not, I repeat, not preclude the Board of Ed from doing the right thing and reviewing this issue and reviewing it right now. As you know, I'm no stranger to advocacy. My children are here today way past their bedtime, because I have always taught them that if something doesn't feel right, speak up. If there's a problem, problem solve. And just because something's hard, that doesn't mean that we don't keep trying, right? So we're gonna keep trying and trying and trying until changes are made. So with that, I wanna introduce the 3 speakers for today. Nayan Azad, my son, and his friend, Yusuf Rahman, and then we will hear from Dr. Ali. And with all due respect, Dr. Wool and Dr. Ladwig, I don't think these kids want to hear about the Association of Superintendents. I don't think they want to hear about position papers, and I don't think they want to hear about prototype calendars. In fact, I would love to hear from the other members of the Board of Education. I would love if you guys could tell these kids why their sense of belonging is not a priority in this school district. Or you can speak to what holidays are seriously being considered in the subsequent calendars. Thank you.
Hi, Board of Education. My name is Nayan Azad. I am 9 years old and in 4th grade in Harrison Avenue. I would like to have Eid off. Just because there are more people in our district who celebrate other holidays does not mean you can't close the school for our holiday. It's almost like only the popular holidays get the days off. I don't like that. Put yourself in our shoes. How would you feel if you were Muslim and celebrated Eid and school was open? We have to worry about missing schoolwork and possibly falling behind in class. You want kids to come to school and not fall behind, right? Did you know that Islam is the second most widely practiced religion in the world? There are more than 1.5 billion followers worldwide, with over 1 million in New York State alone. Even if you think there aren't many Muslim kids in Harrison, I have met a lot, including my friend Yusuf. In school, we are taught to be kind to other cultures. I hope you could do the same. A lot of my friends who are not Muslim agreed that I should have Eid off. These holidays are just as special as other religious holidays you close school for. It hurt my feelings that unused snow days were not used for Eid. Again, I would like to have the school district off for Eid. I bet you'll consider it now after all my reasons that I've given you.
Hello, Board of Education. My name is Yusuf Rahman. I'm a 4th grade student in Harrison Elementary School. I believe we should have a day off on Eid because it is an important holiday for Muslims. It is a very holy and special holiday that is celebrated with family and friends. We as a community should celebrate this holiday along with the 1.9 billion Muslims worldwide. We should have a day off so that Muslims can enjoy a full day of Eid without missing school. We have many days off for other holidays. Why not Eid?
Do you want to flip and do yours first? Or should I do my update?
Ali Zara. Ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Education, good evening. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Zara Ali. I live here in Sterling Ridge, and I'm a medical doctor serving the Westchester community since 2015. I'm an active member of the Junior League of Westchester on the Sound, and most importantly, the mother of 3 girls, all of whom will be students at Harrison Avenue Elementary. My eldest, age 7, is here tonight. As I stand before you today, I am reminded of a pivotal moment from my childhood. I was about 9 years old, not much older than my daughter is now. And on a seemingly ordinary school field trip, one filled with laughter, excitement, and the promise of new discoveries, but amidst the joyous chaos of visiting the gift shop, something stirred within me, a feeling that would stay with me for years to come. You see, I am a Muslim American, born and raised in this beautiful land of opportunity and this tapestry of cultures we call America. Yet despite this country being the only home I know, there were moments when I felt like an outsider, like a solitary figure in a sea of familiarity. It was in that gift shop surrounded by rows upon rows of personalized keychains and license plates adorned with names like Sarah, Michael, Emily, that I realized the profound impact of representation, or lack thereof. As my classmates eagerly sifted through the racks, joy dancing in their eyes as they found their names etched in colorful letters, my 9-year-old heart couldn't help but feel a pang of longing, a subtle ache of invisibility, as I futilely searched for my name. You see, for me, those keychains were more than just trinkets. They were symbols of belonging, of validation, of seeing oneself reflected in the world around us. Noting my name conspicuously absent was a glaring reminder of my otherness, of the subtle yet pervasive barriers that exist for those who do not fit neatly into society's predefined molds. In that moment, I felt different, unseen, as if my very identity had been relegated to the margin of society, deemed unworthy of recognition or celebration. And though I tried to brush off the sting of disappointment to feign indifference in the face of exclusion, the truth remained. My little heart ached for acknowledgement, for a sense of belonging that transcended superficial boundaries of race, ethnicity, and culture. So today I speak to you, not only for the little girl I was who felt like she wasn't seen, but on behalf of all those children with similar experiences who are now parents and do not want their children, who are just as much a part of the fabric of this nation as we were, to have to feel that otherness. So one small step we can take towards fostering a feeling of belonging would be the recognition of Eid as a holiday on the Harrison Central School District calendar, and I'm here tonight to advocate for that. As diverse, inclusive community we are, it is only fitting that we acknowledge and respect the religious and cultural diversity of our students, families, and staff. Eid al-Fitr holds significant importance for our Muslim community members, marking the end of Ramadan, a month of fasting, prayer, good deeds, and reflection. By redistributing unused snow days or superintendent conference days, Eid could be delegated as a day off, and we could demonstrate our commitment to fostering an environment of inclusivity, understanding, and respect for all religious beliefs. Recognizing Eid as a holiday aligns with the principles of equity and fairness and is in line with our social-emotional curriculum. Just as we honor other religious holidays such as Christmas and Hanukkah, and beginning next year, Lunar New Year, it is only fitting that we extend the same courtesy to Eid. Every student should feel valued and represented in our school calendar. Granting Eid as a holiday would promote academic and student well-being, as it allows Muslim students to fully participate in and celebrate their religious traditions without the worry of skipping school, falling behind in studies, or missing important exams. This recognition also fosters a sense of belonging and reinforces the importance of cultural identity in the educational experience. Recognizing Eid sends a powerful message of unity and solidarity within our community. It shows that we are committed to creating an inclusive environment where everyone feels accepted and respected. For is not Harrison Central School District a family to which we all belong? In conclusion, I urge the board to take this as an opportunity to affirm our commitment to creating a welcoming environment for all. As many Westchester County school districts, almost half have recognized Eid without hesitation. My daughter, who is 7 years old, often sports a band bracelet around her wrist which states, "I belong at HAS." Does she though? I never want her to feel she doesn't. Though my journey may have been marked by moments of isolation and invisibility, hers doesn't have to be the same story. So let us pledge here and now to create a school community in which every child, regardless of race, ethnicity, or background, can see themselves reflected, where diversity is not merely tolerated, but celebrated. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Just see if there's any other comments from the public.
Thank you. I think that's...
Any other participation?
Any other public participation? Okay.
So let's go out of order.
Yeah, we're going to go slightly out of order so that Dr. Will can respond, and then I'll do my president's update following.
Well, thank you for your, oops, let me turn my microphone on. Thank you for coming tonight, sharing your perspectives. I'd like to start by saying we very much value all the members of our community, and it is our plan as quickly as possible to institutionalize the recognition of all major holidays of the 7 religions as quickly as we possibly can. Some of the information shared tonight is, from my perspective, inaccurate. There are variances in our district compared to other districts. We require all of our first and second year teachers to come back for our last week in August. We require typically lots of activity in the summer, which requires administrators to take vacation. We are working with both bargaining groups because we all care deeply, not just about recognizing the holidays that you have pointed out tonight, but making sure we do something systemic that will last. I personally find it insulting that other districts would think it's okay to schedule Eid on a superintendent's conference day. Because if we're going to value the sacredness of that holiday, I want the schools to be closed. I don't want it to be intermittent. I don't want it to be once in a while. I want it to be permanent. And I'm not just speaking about that holiday, I'm speaking about all holidays. I would have liked to recognize Juneteenth many years ago. Juneteenth didn't get the support it required for a very long time. And had I tried to do it, it probably would have not been well received. I don't move because there's political pressure. I move in ways that I think are going to make sustained and lasting differences in the lives of all of our children. And so, whether you accept this or not, my commitment has nothing to do with your appearance tonight. I appreciate your appearance. I appreciate your children sharing their feelings, and I care deeply about making them feel completely welcome in their schools. And very soon, we will be recognizing all of the major holidays permanently and forever. But I am not of the mind that these things should be an artifact of the moment. They should be a commitment. You mentioned 19 school districts. Well, if you look at those 19 districts, many of them have moved them to a superintendent's conference day, which I personally would not do. I find that disrespectful. I don't plan conference days willy-nilly, nor do I want teachers to have to come to work if we're saying that that is a significant holiday because we may have people on our faculty or staff that also want to observe. So I want to fix the problem authentically, not in the moment. That is going to take me more time. Those of you that know me know that I've been superintendent for 22 years. I've served as the president of the Lower Hudson Council for 2 terms, and I'm the incoming president. I have talked to the commissioner. I would like the commissioner, in the same way that she recognized Lunar New Year, to put that on the calendar of required days. Whether she does or not, it'll be far more than 19 districts that will be moving. And it won't be because they have the availability of a snow day or a superintendent's conference day. So if you somehow have heard or have the impression that I don't support you, that impression is wrong. I'm not going to do it quickly or recklessly or temporarily or in a way that I think does not in fact respond to the gravity of what you're asking. So that is all I have to share with you tonight. I can promise you that this work will get done, and it will get done structurally, systemically, and permanently. And hopefully my goal is not just for Harrison, but as an objective for the State Education Department here in our grand state. So you have my word on that. I rarely lose a long-term fight. I don't play the short game. You know, when they put in a corrupt and bankrupt teacher evaluation system, we were one of the only districts that resisted that, and 20 years later they have now repealed it. Sometimes you have to play the long game, but I want you to know unequivocally that we not only honor and respect your request, I'm working at many levels, locally, county, region, and state. I've been in contact with many people long before you raised this issue. So know that we hear you, that we care, and I will get this done. That's all I have. We'll go back to you, and then we'll pick up
Okay.
the meeting. By the way, folks, if you're staying, I see people from the Budget Committee. We do have a budget presentation tonight as well under my update, but I'm going to let the board president give her update, and then we'll move back to the agenda, but I didn't want these children sitting here tonight waiting for a response.
And thank you for communicating. We appreciate you taking the time to do so. So moving on to the president's update. Our Model Congress were the high school Model Congress team from April 11th to the 14th traveled to Philadelphia to visit University of Pennsylvania and competed against prestigious schools from all around the country. Big congratulations to Samantha Rabin for winning the Best Delegate Award in her committee, and to Sam Potkin and Frances Duden for winning honorable mentions. We just recently had our high school spring concerts. The band, chorus, and orchestra delighted the audiences from their annual spring concerts, and all three performances highlighted the incredible and varied talents of student musicians. The band performance opened with a student-led quintet. It included the performance of a new piece titled Alone by renowned composer Randall Standridge, and commissioned in part by the Harrison Band Parent Association. The chorus concert showcased adaptability as they quickly adjusted to a new conductor. Mr. Royal stepped in, and his accompanist with just a few days, and was able to transition. The high school orchestra concert featured not only the performance talents of our students, but the compositional skills as well. And our senior, Marco Miletti's original composition, Whirlwind, written for the string orchestra and piano, had its world premiere and demonstrated artistry and sophistication like well beyond
And I
his
just
years.
need to say, Mr. Nickel is cutting that piece of tape for us, because the next time we have a board meeting, I want you to see what this young man accomplished, this incredible orchestral piece which he composed, conducted, and played in. It was absolutely breathtaking.
And congratulations to our Harrison High School musicians, and a special thank you to Ms. Lurcher, Ms. Test, and Mr. Bastone for their incredible work.
And may I just do a shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Test, who recently adopted a child, and they're so excited. They are the heart and soul of the middle school and high school choral program. But Mr. Royal, our Director of Fine and Performing Arts, had to step in with less than 24 hours' notice and learn every single piece of choral music, and he did a magnificent job of conducting. We actually were mightily impressed. His mother was a music teacher. She would have been quite proud of her son to step in that moment. I think, Andy, you would agree he did an incredible job that night.
And I'm sure he loved every minute of it.
He loved every minute of it.
That's the real work. The Eastern Student Artists Guild Awards is a new theater organization that recognizes outstanding performances in a non-musical theater productions. And Harrison received numerous awards for our fall production of A Midsummer's Night's Dream. The awards ceremony is May 4th at 1 p.m. at Manhattanville. Winning students will perform a 1 to 2 minute monologue. And congratulations to Mrs. Heberly and our talented students for this outstanding recognition. Best actors in a comedy was Arilyn Gravagna from Harrison, Ulysses Bravo from Harrison as well. Best supporting actor in a comedy, Giselle Lopez and Alana Waits from the high school, and Best Classical Productions, Midsummer Night's Dream. So congratulations to all.
And if you remember that production, Alana Waits is the young lady who spoke several years ago. She
Yeah,
was supposed to
here.
go back to Australia, but she loved her
Begged
high
her
school so
parents.
much.
She begged her
convinced them
parents to stay because she wanted to graduate from here. They're still here.
She's a senior. She's
Yep.
on her way to college.
So we have an exciting event on May 11th at 7 p.m. at the HPAC. It's called Pagers Open Mic. So prior to COVID, our district and the Journal News, along with veteran reporter and longtime advocate Peter Kramer, created this event, and it's a venue that invites all public high schools in Westchester that have a spring musical to select one song to be presented during the evening. And this event is a celebration of high school musical theater, and with no competitive nature to it. It's just art for art's sake. So that should be a super awesome night
And the
at the high
representation
school.
is every single high school that's performing a musical sends one act to the open mic to perform for a room full of theater kids who love this anyway, and some of their parents. It's one of the best nights we have.
We have a wonderful recognition for our high school senior, Alyssa Ramiza, who was named a semifinalist for the 2024 U.S. Presidential Scholars. She is among 625 students selected from over 6,000 candidates. So congratulations, Alyssa. Once again, congrats to our high school debate team. Members Reese Potash, Jack Gessner, and Jack Borman, all on placing in the top 25 at the National Tournament of Champions in Kentucky this past weekend. Jack Borman was also the sixth speaker. And the debate team member Flynn Williams placed second at the New York State Championship, and Atarv Gandhi placed eighth. Reese Potash was 10th at the National Debate Coaches Association National Championship. So our debate team never ceases to amaze us. Another awesome night on Monday, April 15th, we actually had the largest number of high school juniors inducted into the National Honor Society to date. So, I mean, our students just continue to impress and push themselves, and the fact that, you know, all doors are open is just, this is so telling how our students just want to achieve in the most wonderful way. Moving on to athletics, the boys golf team on the 17th defeated Yorktown 215 to 219 in a home match at Old Oaks. Jake Hurwitz earned the gold ball with the lowest round of the day. And Harrison also defeated Greeley Golf 203 to 223. Tommy Mangan had the low round of the day for our Huskies.
I think we've been saying that a lot this season, just to say it loud. Way to go.
Our baseball, the high school baseball varsity team, they are off to such a solid start. They won 8-3. They are 8-3 with a 6-0 win over Scarsdale. They defeated Rhinebeck 1-0 with a walk-off. Defeated Scarsdale 5-3, and the Huskies made it 5 in a row with a 10-3 win over Mamaroneck. Mike Olsey had a 2-run home run. And starting pitcher Margot Citro had an incredible tear, winning back-to-back wins, with striking out 17 in one game and 12 in the following.
He's having quite a season. I think he was right. He's signed to go play baseball at college. Remember, he was our high school starting quarterback. I think he might have been right. Baseball is a sport.
Yeah, he's an amazing athlete. The girls lacrosse team beat Putnam Valley 13-11, and they also defeated Eastchester 14-4. The boys lacrosse defeated Ardsley 16-3 and defeated Hastings 17-3. The girls softball team defeated Zomer 6-5, and Harrison defeated Nanuet 8-0. Barbara Jo Coppola recorded her 100th career hit in this game, and Gabby Triano pitched a complete game shutout with 9 strikeouts. And I would just like to remind everyone that all of our upcoming PTA meetings in the month of May, and they're on the district calendar, all of the dates will be budget presentations. And I highly recommend parents attend if at all possible. If the date of your school that you plan to attend doesn't work, you are more than welcome to attend any of the other. We have some spread out in the evening, some in the morning. So I highly recommend just being informed with the budget, and questions and comments. Dr. Wool, Dr. Ladewing, and of course our business advisor Timothy Whipple will be there to answer any questions.
And typically board members attend. So.
Yeah, we will all be there. Absolutely. And I think that is my update.
Okay.
So moving on, if you have anything else
Thank you.
you'd
Yes,
like.
I have a lot to talk about tonight. Tonight is going to be a budget presentation, but it's going to be a reminder of our achievements, and our achievements represent the work of children with phenomenal teachers. And what is at risk when we can't continue to support our programs? So I just want to start by pointing out, today the new ranking for U.S. News and World Report came out for high schools in the United States. And Harrison High School ranks 7th in Westchester County. Ahead of it is Edgemont, Bronxville, Horace Greeley, Byram Hills, Irvington, and Rye. There's one anomaly I want you to be aware of. Of those 6 schools ahead of us, none has a free and reduced lunch percentage of higher than 10%. Harrison High School has 21% of its students living at or below the poverty level. That really means that we're one of the highest performing high schools in the country, because all of our kids participate in all of our most rigorous programs. So when you look at our data, I want you to remember that we exclude no one from participation. And some of our children are needy. that doesn't in any way exclude them for participation. You will learn later tonight that another artifact of these results is the fact that this Board of Education supported my recommendation almost 10 years ago now that we pay for every child's IB and AP test. That invites kids in that would otherwise not participate or wouldn't have access. And yet, the great achievement of this organization is the more children we have allowed to participate, the more our academic performance has excelled. It is not an accident that almost 50% of the junior class was inducted into the National Honor Society. Almost 50%. That's an artifact of a great school system that believes and lives its mission of equity and access. So I'm going to transition now into the summary of our budget work. This has been one of the most challenging experiences I've had in my 22 years. I see two members of our Citizens Budget Advisory Committee are here tonight. Thank you both for being here. Because the budget adoption is so late, we actually moved it back because, as you know, the governor just adopted her budget a few days ago, and our aid, almost $700,000 that we thought we were going to lose, was reinstated. As you will learn, that was helpful, but it doesn't mitigate some of the other challenges we are facing right now. So I'm going to move quickly through some of these opening slides. Tim, if you wouldn't mind, slide 1. So our vision, you heard it expressed by some of the parents and children in the room, is really very clear. Equity of opportunity, adaptability and rigor, access for all, and we adopted back in 1999, I proposed, but we didn't fully adopt the International Baccalaureate Program until 2009, is to develop inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. My goodness, if the world would behave that way right in this moment, we might be in a better place. Next slide, please. We recognize that every child is unique. I have 2 children. You wouldn't know they came from the same parents. They have completely different strengths, completely different needs. Our district's adaptability is predicated on that. Whatever your child needs is what we should provide. Not every child gets the same thing because not every child needs the same thing. Equity of access means you get what you need to lift you to those programs. My budget goals, they don't change a lot because sadly for a very long time we have been restricted by the tax levy cap from expanding programs, so we try to maintain program, but right now we have a growing enrollment and growing participation. What does growing participation mean? It means lots of kids at the high school take multiple sciences. They take science research and a regular science. They take math and an elective math. I wouldn't take an elective math, but go figure. Everybody has their own approach. So this budget maintains class sizes and programmatic choice. It requires that we create an additional class for our most needy special education population. These are students that are educated with us till the age of 22. And we see a growing population, so I'm going to add an additional class at the high school. The strength in instructional continuity in simple terms means we're finally going to complete a mission we started almost, 2009, you figure out the math, a long time ago. We want to be a full IB district. We want our curriculum completely aligned so children are studying the same frameworks, the same big ideas, only with greater complexity. The system builds accountability for teachers and kids along the way, and kids get stronger and stronger in the learner profile traits. So that's what we mean there. In order to do that, we must implement an elementary world language program. It only means 2 positions, and it will only address part of our journey of implementing this foreign language program. You've already heard a presentation on that. When we come and do the budget presentation, we'll give you more detail. Mrs. Egan will be there. But this is a requirement to be approved to become a full IB elementary program. So that is in the budget. We will maintain summer programs, but unfortunately, we're going to have to scale them back because our federal money has dried up. So this year, you'll see some specific programs, particularly programs that support our neediest learners. Kids who are struggling with reading, kids who are struggling in middle school who have maybe gone off cycle, and we don't want them to miss the opportunity to graduate middle school on time, and a complete summer school. There will be some enrichment components. Reading with the Huskies has to come back. If we don't do Reading with the Huskies, I might be run out of town. It was one of the most successful, innovative programs. I credit Dr. Mulhall and Dr. Cantor for pulling that off. It's a magnificent program. We'll continue our college writing support for kids. Almost the entire junior class shows up in the summer to work on their college essay. But many of the things that we were so excited about, the curiosity camps, unfortunately will be going away. My assistant superintendent for business said, Dr. Wool, it's time you reminded people of what is really significant about our high school. So we tried to narrow this down, but tonight is not a budget presentation exclusively. It's a reminder that everything we spend money produces extraordinary results. The IB was just here examining our elementary program. When we were talking to the consultants, they kept wanting to know, how do you accomplish what you do in your high school? Listen to some of these data points. 97% of the class of 2023 enrolled in at least one AP or IB course, 94 in 2, and 82 in 6 or more. When we say equity of access, everyone is participating in rigorous coursework. 244 candidates were diploma candidates. Of the 3,000 or so IB high schools in the world, only 109 reached that standard. And here's what I'll tell you. Most IB high schools have a criteria entrance exam. So we have kids going for the full diploma, and it's an open door policy. These are incredible accomplishments, and they're only made possible because of the way our school is structured. Our science research program, you're probably tired of hearing about it, but we had one of our most exciting years ever. We had 2 semifinalists in Regeneron. We have one of our students who's going off to WestCEF to compete. The accomplishments have made our high school known to colleges and universities across the country. 71% of the kids participate in AP BC, which is in most school districts the highest level AP you can study. In our high school, that's not the case. You can study all the way up to multivariable calculus, and we have 12% of the class doing that. So that is Calculus 3 at the college level. The debate team, I don't even know where to begin. We have had so many recognitions as a debate program. My favorite statistic, without looking up there, is in the last decade, we have the top debater in the nation 5 times. If Chayton Herzig was a basketball coach, he'd be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. All of that to say, the budget is not about dollars, it's about children. And we work really, really hard to try and be thoughtful about what we are putting into your budget. So the 2024 budget maintains class sizes at or below our district goal, all current instructional programs and student opportunities, including athletics, no testing fees, co-curriculars, intramurals. We had an overwhelming response to intramurals when we put it in place. Kids who don't typically participate in athletics suddenly showed up, went with a classmate and participated. It was fun, it builds community, and we were very excited. And shout out to Mr. Gonzalez for building that program basically on the fly. He did a great job. We are going to replace some aging technology equipment. We're going to upgrade our security cameras. Network security. Security is also at the top of our list. Here's what we're adding. Currently, we have unbudgeted teacher aides. I mentioned that class at the high school for special education students. Well, we also have an incoming kindergarten, so we need aides in the kindergarten class, aides in the high school class, as well as assistants in both programs. So when you see a class for special education at the K level, it's 12-1-1. That's a teacher, a teaching assistant, and a teacher aide. And at the phase side, at the high school level, a similar staffing ratio. I mentioned the new elementary and special education teachers. Mrs. Himes is here. I wish her enrollment would slow down. It has not. We are going to address growing enrollment at the elementary. We already have added sections, and we have some sections, Dr. Lidwig, right at the edge of needing additional teachers. Those are not in the budget. We're doing the best we can to keep it close. I mentioned the 2 world language teachers. They'll be split between the 4 schools, 2 and 2. We'll spread them out, and they'll spend several weeks in one school and then switch to another. We need additional psychological support, as you can imagine, as we add both special education students and the growing need for kids to get support psychologically. That is an essential. This is a great problem. The science research program is growing so fast. Mrs. Blunt can't possibly do it alone anymore. In order to just meet the number of kids that want to participate, we need to add 0.4 of a teacher. And I'm never going to say to a high school student who wants to study 2 sciences, no, you can't do that. We don't want them ever sitting around idly, and that's just a great success. I mentioned the 2 teaching assistants already. Next slide. Tim is going to narrate for you why this is so challenging. But before he does, I want to say to you, I just talked about what we're adding and what we're maintaining. Our enrollment is growing. You're going to see some enrollment slides that you will find, if you haven't seen them before, surprising. But just since September, we have picked up 112 students. It is the heart of our enrollment season. We expect that number to now grow quickly. Kindergarten enrollment, people moving into our communities. I know of 2 houses in the last 2 weeks that were sold. Families are moving in. Just in those two houses, that's 11 kids. People are bringing lots of kids to Harrison. That's good news, but remember, if we want to keep class sizes down and enrollment is growing, the only way to do that is to add teachers. So Tim's going to now give you the context of what we're facing, but remember, we have handcuffs on us. We can only live within the levy cap, otherwise we require a voter override. And this year, our expenses were surprisingly large, particularly in the areas of health insurance, growing enrollment, TRS, utilities. You'll hear the story. But in order to keep pace with what we have and how we're growing, we're going to share where we landed.
Okay, thank you very much. And as you indicated earlier, Dr. Wool, this obviously is one of the hardest budgets and most difficult and challenging budget cycles that we've seen for a variety of reasons, but mainly because of the national inflation metrics that continue to be maintained, and we'll go into that in a couple minutes. So one of the things that we were challenged with right off the bat was first of all, the reduction of the foundation aid, which is our main aid driver from New York State. Thankfully, at the last minute, the governor and the legislature were able to agree that the reductions would not happen. But unfortunately, that also meant, though, that Harrison's foundation aid would stay at the current level. So, that doesn't sound as bad as a reduction of about $682,000, which was the original reduction. However, we have typically over the years received at least 3% increase of foundation aid. So being frozen at the current level does challenge us significantly from a state aid perspective.
And I just want to point out that Tim and his association worked really hard lobbying the governor. The president and vice president and I met with Senator Mayer along with other districts and implored her to work with the governor, and I just need to say she did deliver on restoring the aid, although we got no increase, and she did keep the Save Harmless in place. So that was a small victory.
Correct, yep.
In a dark cloud.
I'll talk a little bit more about the tax cap limitations in a minute, but obviously the formula significantly hamstrings our ability to meet ongoing costs, and the board has heard this at many of our budget presentations. But you can see the sustained national inflation. For the last 3 years, we've averaged 5.6% increase of CPI. And again, CPI stands for Consumer Price Index, which is a measure of inflation. And when you look at our operational expenses, our employee benefits, all of those things that you can see, health insurance, liability insurance, electric, gas, water, sewer, all exceed 2%, which is our limit by law under the formula. So you can see right off the bat, it's very, very challenging for us to meet these ongoing expenses based on the sustained national inflation that we've experienced. On top of that, as Dr. Wool just indicated, the enrollment increases have pushed our limits to the maximum of our ability. The formula does not take into consideration, by formula I mean the tax cap calculation, does not take into consideration any enrollment increases that a district may see, which in my opinion really is one of the fatal flaws of the formula. Many people say it's been a way to cap property taxes. It's given people a lot of relief. However, the authors, the legislators who came up with the tax cap formula did not consider enrollment growth as an allowable exclusion under the cap. So what's that mean for us? It means we have to deal with it either by reducing our expenses or by trying to find additional revenue. We've seen this before. I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but only to say that, when you look at these numbers here, the tax cap formula generated for us about $3.7 million in new income this year. When you add all of these up, it's about $5.9 million. So right off the bat, we're about $2.2 million more than what the allowable levy would allow us to increase. Again, we talked about enrollment growth. We've seen this slide before. I guess I would point out one major item here. Last year, our enrollment was 3,624. We were demographically projected for an increase to about 3,662. What we saw on top of that was an additional 71 students that showed up in Harrison in September. Year over year, that's a 109 student increase. When you take that into what we believe could transpire based on, again, our demographic projections, over a 2-year period, we're looking at over 150 students that would be additional to based on a couple of years ago. And if you look at over a 10-year period, we're looking at just over 500 additional students if these demographic projections are accurate.
And I would just say that the demographic projections have been underestimating us for a number of years. And Brian and I study this, we talk with the 6 principals, and none of us believe that these numbers will hold. They're going to go up. They're going to go up because we are a desirable community, our school district is desirable, and the number of housing units being built is astronomical. We haven't had an update from the town, but as of a year ago, Brian, I think we were at 1,800 units. And that a year has gone by, and as you know, more developments have in fact been approved, and people are moving here specifically for the schools. And so we are running as fast as we can to keep a pace. Thank you, community, for your support of our bond, but we are out of the ground with some of those projects and trying to, in particularly in Purchase and Parsons and Harrison Avenue, running as fast as we can to get those buildings up in time for the wave that we think will be hitting within 2 to 3 years.
I think one of the things, in my opinion, that makes this budget so frustrating is that, every single year since the tax cap has been established, the Board of Education, the district has done whatever they could do to balance the needs of the students and the taxpayers. And it's evidenced by, if you look at our metrics over the past few years, our tax levy increase has averaged 1.94% over 9 years. Compare that to the CPI increase. Again, CPI is inflation, which is 2.59% over 9 years. And we've done more than what could be expected of us over that time period to maintain an outstanding educational program, but at the same time being very responsible to our citizens and our taxpayers. And obviously, this is going to be challenging to continue based on the fact that inflation has continued to stay high. The number I didn't put up here, but I showed earlier, was again over 4% for the 24-25 school year, and it makes obviously this budget very, very difficult. One of the things I want to talk about a little bit is called the true value tax rate, and the true value tax rate is one of the ways that I look at and my colleagues look at comparing school districts in terms of what's the burden that they pass on to the taxpayer, and how do you compare that by school district to school district. And really the true value rate is the most reliable way to compare school districts. It's a methodology of how communities can compare the actual tax burden between each other. So as you know, taxing jurisdictions, so assessors in different communities, don't have the same level of assessment. One district could assess at 100% of the market value, which a good example of that is Rye, whereas in Harrison, it's much, much less than that. So how do you calculate the true value tax rate? It's very, very simple. It's the total levy. It's the total tax levy divided by the total market value of the school district. So in our case, our total levy is about $123 million divided by the total taxable market value is about $10.7 billion. So you can see that the true value tax rate in Harrison has been averaged 12.69%, very, very reasonable compared to our community or our neighboring communities. The lower the true value tax rate, the lower the homeowner pays as compared to the true value or the market value of their home. Okay? And the true value or the market value could also be kind of thought of as the selling price. So what could you actually sell your house for? What's the true market value? And that's how we compare school district to school district. Not only have we had an excellent true value tax rate over the years and kept our tax levy very, very reasonable, but the district has been issued a AAA rating for outstanding credit worthiness by S&P, which is a credit rating agency. One of only a few districts in New York State that can tout that AAA rating. We've been awarded the recognition for outstanding financial reporting for more than 12 years in a row, the testament to the Business Office and the Board of Education for fiscal prudence over the years. And again, I just mentioned we have the third lowest true value tax rate amongst Westchester County schools. And I'll show this chart real quickly. The first column is the school district, obviously. The second column is the true value tax rate. And the third column is the ranking in Westchester County. And you can see that the Harrison School District has a true value tax rate based on 22-23 data of $13.04, which makes us the third lowest of any school district in Westchester County.
Important piece of data. I know it's hard for people to get their heads around, but in simple terms, you really are getting a much greater value for your tax dollar here than almost anywhere else, which is, as Tim points out, a credit to all of us.
Yeah, it represents extremely high value based on what the tax is compared with what you could sell your home or what the market value is for your home. Exactly right.
It's also one of the reasons people are moving here, because a lot of people moving in have figured that out.
Okay, so the final budget summary. Again, these are kind of repeat slides. The board has seen these before. The final budget that will be recommended by Dr. Wool, $141.5 million. That's an increase of 4.6%. Projected tax levy increase. Again, the tax levy is the total amount we collect to support the budget from our community of 4.49%, with a projected tax rate increase of 3.9% next year based on the information that we currently have from the Harrison Town assessor. When you look at this, again, and we've talked a little bit about this in previous meetings, about 1.6 million of the increase is attributable to the new staff that we have are going to be adding next year to deal with the enrollment. Final budget summary, we have our expenditures, 141.5 million. Our final revenues, again, match that, 141.5 million. You'll notice that real property taxes are increasing by 4.49% for a total tax levy of 123.7 million. This represents a levy that will require at least 60% of our voters to vote yes, because we are planning to exceed the tax cap formula. And again, just a tax, kind of impact projection, current year levy with the total amount we collect in the current year, $118.4 million. The maximum tax levy limit is $122 million. The actual proposed tax levy, $123.7 million. The difference between the two is about $1.6 million above the threshold, and it represents about 1.3% above the tax levy limit. Okay, so that concludes, I believe, the presentation on the budget. Just to show you the next couple stages, the final stages. Again, one more time, we'll have a budget hearing on May 8th, which is a couple weeks from now, and then the budget vote and Board of Education election will occur on May 21st. I also want to thank, as Dr. Wool did earlier, the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee and our own Board of Education Budget Committee. I know Mrs. Jaberga, Mr. Puccio are not here this evening, but Mrs. Kozak is, and really appreciate the support and the feedback you've given us to help develop the budget. It's been very challenging, as you know, but we certainly appreciate all the work that you've put into this process, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. I just also want to thank the board, because when we initially constructed this budget calendar, we didn't know the governor was going to come up with this crazy plan, and we extended this budget process to the very last possible moment so we could absolutely minimize the impact of the tax levy cap and its impact on taxpayers. This is an artifact, exceeding the cap is almost exclusively an artifact of growing enrollment. I just need to stress that. We did get some costs that were a little bit out of the norm for us, but really not out of the norm for most places. It's the first time in over a decade that our health insurance was in double digits as a result of people coming out of COVID. We expect that to tail down. But you couple that with this surge in enrollment that we have to meet in order to maintain what we have. This is almost really a maintenance budget, with the small exception of the 2 positions for the world language program. Other than that, everything else is basically roll forward, maintain your class sizes, keep the programs intact. We care deeply. I know I speak for this board. When we plan a budget, first priority is take care of kids. Second priority, almost equal, is make sure we minimize the impact on taxpayers. We, as Tim said, have always, always, always been below the consumer price index. So we have run this district below the rate of inflation for over a decade. This is a moment in time where we need to remember what's at stake. That's why I gave you all of that data. You have one of the most successful high schools in the world. I'm not saying that with hubris. It's an extraordinary high school. It does extraordinary things, and kids do extraordinary things. It's changing people's lives, their destinies, their opportunities, their impact on the world. So when you think about this, I know it will be slightly more, but to maintain what we have built as a community is so critical. And so with that, I turn it over to the board to determine whether or not they're going to adopt my recommended budget.
And just before we move on, Tim, I also just want to say, and I know I speak on behalf of the Budget Committee as well as the entire board, and genuinely thank you for your meticulous guidance and leadership getting us through this super challenging year. So we're grateful to you and your entire business office.
Here, here.
Okay. Moving on to the personnel report. I will take on consent unless anyone objects. Seeing none. A, certificated personnel. 1, regular appointment, SED clearance received. 2, extra compensation appointment, SED clearance received. B, non-certificated personnel. We are going to temporarily omit item 1. 2, extra compensation appointment, SED clearance received. C, other. 1, contracted service provider. 2, I have a motion to approve the personnel report.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to the administrative report, I'll take on consent unless anyone objects. Seeing none. A, approval of settlement agreement. B, acceptance of donation from Harrison Educational Foundation grant. C, acceptance of donation from the Harrison Ave School PTA. D, acceptance of donation from the Samuel J. Preston PTA 5th grade committee. E, acceptance of donation from the Black Bow Giving Fund on behalf of New York Life and its donors. F, approval of CSE CPSE minutes. G, approval of CSE CPSE recommendations. H, approval of CSE CPSE annual reviews. Do I have a motion to approve the administrative report?
Motion.
Second? Questions or comments?
Just a thank you to the foundation. I know you're going to thank them, but this $21,000 has got the technology department at the high school on
On
fire.
fire.
They're so excited, so thank you.
Yes, and just to reiterate, thank you to HEF and all your hard work, as well as the very generous donations from Harrison Ave School PTA, the Samuel J. Preston 5th grade committee, Black Bow Giving Fund. We are grateful. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to the finance and facilities report, I will take on consent unless anyone objects. Seeing none. A, treasurer's report, March 2024. B, quarterly report for the extra classroom activity funds. C, adoption of the 2024-25 school budget. D, approval of the 2024-25 property tax report card. E, 2023-24 appropriation transfers. Do I have a motion to approve the finance and facilities report?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Our next regularly scheduled business meeting will take place on May 8th, 2024, 7 p.m. Here at the Lewis M. Klein Middle School. Do I have a motion to close the business meeting?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Have a wonderful night.